Well, I started playing auto shop when I was probably about 7 years old or less, in the sense that my father was the auto shop teacher over at River Rouge High School for 30-some years. And as I was growing up, instead of playing with Tonka toys, Dad used to bring home carburetors, distributors, things of that nature, and I'd take them apart and put them together until the screws were worn out. So as the years passed, it was quite obvious that that was where my interest was. And of course, with both of my parents being teachers, I couldn't come up with much of an excuse that I couldn't go to college or wouldn't go to college. Mr. L.B. Williams, who was the assistant principal at Roseville High School at the time, called me and said that they needed an auto shop teacher. And we worked our way up from 1967 through all of the changes and whatever that has happened here in Roseville.
He's a good tutor. You know, he was pretty young at the time, I guess. I didn't realize it at first because we were also young too. But if I remember correctly, the auto shop wasn't all that big at the time. It had 2 bay there, not like it is now. I think he was only in the 20s at that time. I think it was one of his first jobs.
Well, I got my start working with my dad because he taught here from back in the 60s to present. So the beginning came from here and being with him and watching what he did and all of the projects and all the stuff that he worked on here kind of brought me along right along with it. And there was a couple years there in like 90 to 92 when I was not here. And then when the buildings first combined, and then afterwards, about fall of 92, I came back.
Gone through a whole series of phases, from show cars, stock cars, drag cars, restoration cars, all kinds of things that have kept the program moving.
When I started off, you know, we were with my dad and he was the first one to ever take a car down in the Autorama from the school and be successful with it, which he was, and they finished second with it. And it was a big deal to me because I was quite young at the time, and I really felt like it was a big deal, you know, probably bigger than it actually was, but to me it stuck. And so that part of the show car industry always has intrigued me personally, and I've been able to bring that along with a lot of the kids and with him with some of the projects that we've done. But at the same time, you know, he did a lot with the racing part. He's always been a part of the racing. It's him more than the show car part of it. If it doesn't run, it isn't worth it. So to him, the racing part's really important, and I grew up going around with him to all of these different tracks and stuff. And so as we've gone through with that, I saw the struggles and the good times and the bad times and the championships and everything else that he won and was a part of with it. But I knew that in doing that the key to the whole thing was that we had to someday, if I was going to do it myself or be a part of something like that, that it had to be bigger than just local. And so we started off, you know, with me here in '88, and we've done a lot of things and been a lot of places locally, but in the last probably 5 to 10 years, we've been able to take and improve on it by looking out past just the local area. And that was one of the things that I said, you know, if I ever had a shot to do that, we would. And so we've gone out to Iowa and we've been successful there. We've been in magazines. We were the first school to go to St. Ignace and be a feature vehicle, and we had 2 of them there at the same time for a number of years. You know, Bob Einecker took and drove the kids up there. It was a whole new thing to be able to bring kids to a program like that far away. you're 4 or 5 hours out, and you keep adding to it, and we kept pushing the window, and then in like 2009, 2010, with the help of Mark O'Brien and Roy O'Brien Ford, we were able to put a car together that was able to win a national title for its class and finish 3rd overall in the nation. And that involved going to cities all over in the finals down in Houston, Texas.
Well, in 2008, my son was about 15 years old, and he said, "Dad, I'd like to have kind of a unique car to drive to high school." And I said, "Unique? Describe that." Well, long and short of it is we found a 1951 Ford, and it was pretty unique. There wasn't anything like it in his parking lot. I brought it here because I'd heard from several people that I work with who had come to school here and graduated and now work at our dealership, that the Tregembo team are second to none when it comes to turning a plain Jane car into a sexy looking hot rod. Well, I didn't have that in mind per se. I just wanted to drop a new engine into it. One thing led to another, and the next thing I know, we're building a show car. Within a year and a half, it ended up taking 3rd place in the nation. We were the only non-professional, i.e. high school program, to ever be qualified by earning all the points that we took at different car shows around the Midwest to go to the national championship. It was unheard of. And when we dropped in on Houston for the national championship, people were taken aback that, what are all these high school people doing here? This is a show for professionals. And 188 cars in our classification, and we came out in 3rd place. So we were very honored that not only did we think we have a good car, but the show people that put on these competitions felt the same way.
And so this year, our goal was to really try and go through the glass ceiling with it, and we put a car together with the idea of going out to Pomona, California, and competing in the Grand National Roadster Show for the America's Most Beautiful Roadster, which is a huge award. And we were able to put one together, and we made it, and we qualified, and we did really well. We showed well. We didn't win it, but just to be one of the 10 finalists is a huge thing. And what we learned and took away from it ultimately is going to help us in the future. Well, there's no question about the fact that we're different. First of all, we have all of the different vocational programs, which very few schools can say. We're still high school, we are not a vocational center, so we're still attached and a part of the main building and completely in touch with what the building does in its day-to-day activities, which is separate from most of them that have these type of programs that are now in a different off-site location, vocational center, whatever. So that makes us a little unique in that sense.
Our programs are different from a lot of neighboring programs in that our students do real-world applications of these skills. For example, in our auto tech, our students don't disassemble an engine and just reassemble it and disassemble it and reassemble it. That happens. That's part of the learning process. But then move one stall down and they're hands-on building a real roadster or a real dragster that's going to go race in Milan. That's real.
It's my feeling that if they aren't doing it on a live vehicle that's real, it kind of takes away from the value of what they're learning. So we do a lot of service in comparison to most programs.
Whatever it is that comes through the door, be it struts, brakes, engines, transmissions, that's what we do.
It's hit and miss in September, but as we go along, while you get to this point in the year, March, April, whatever, they can perform a great deal of services on a vehicle comfortably and correctly in a timely manner, and those are the things that kind of give them an edge when they go out and try and seek employment somewhere. And so we do a lot of that on a day-to-day basis. You know, we probably put 36 cars through here today.
We've been NATEF certified 5 times. We just went through that last week. We are one of the few programs that are still NATEF certified in each Macomb County at least, because of the fact that it costs so much to operate these programs. And we have to be very grateful for the support that the community of Roseville and the Board of Education and Administration have put behind these programs.
Community of Roseville understands the value of their CTE programs. They always have. They've always been very positive, very forthcoming in backing these programs. With all of the cuts that have come down from all of the different, federal, state, local agencies, governments, and so forth, it gets harder and harder for any school district to run these programs. They're surely not cost effective in comparison to, say, an English class. They're very expensive to operate, but in this district and in this city, we've always had the backing of the administration, we've always had the backing of the community to be able to keep this going and make it happen and make certain that these kids are exposed to this type of stuff. So again, their employment opportunities are broad.
Not everybody needs to have a degree in technology. There are other ways to be very successful in our society today. And one of the showcases, one of the diamonds that exist is the vocational program inside of Roseville.
Not everyone's going to go to college, and if they did, we'd have a sorry world. You're not going to call a college grad to come tune your car or hang a door on your bathroom or fix your plumbing. You need people that work with their hands and can figure it out mentally and put it into their hands.
And today it's widely acknowledged that the automotive technicians in this country, there's going to be at least 100,000 short by the end of 2017. That's 100,000 jobs that need to be filled that are lucrative jobs that we're typically ignoring. The trades are very important.
We have a lot of them that go on to other two-year vocational training trade schools, but the idea is that these students deserve the opportunity to go out of Roseville High School and be employable, be able to seek their dream as it is.
The mechanical field, there's always going to be a job there, always. And the more skilled you are, the better off you're going to be. And more rewarding as far as figuring out things and pay-wise.
Some of our students may not excel in academics, but they excel in hands-on. Some of our other students excel in both. And those are the students that can write their ticket with regard to engineering and things of that nature.
Even now, look at the cars they're doing, the electronic cars. That is definitely the future, electronics. If you get a kid to get involved in the electrical part of the car, that would really go a long way with you.
So the students that we have in these programs currently, if they pursue it and do their best with it, have a phenomenal future ahead of them. And many of those that have gone out of this program over the last 40 years, let's be honest, have their own businesses, are bosses, service managers, owners of many different operations.
I've been at this dealership for about 20 years now, and early on I started to talk to the dealer principal, Mark O'Brien. We were looking for some employees, and I was mentioning about a vocational program that I graduated from, and he showed some interest, so we got involved with them. And currently we have just over 100 employees in our employ here at this dealership, and 10% of those, 10, 11, 12 guys, are Roseville High School graduates.
And these are not hourly jobs. These are full-scale jobs. These men and some women that we've hired have their own places to live at 21 years old, and they're making a good income. They can get independent as soon as they leave high school.
It's worked incredibly well for us. We've been asked several times, how do you come up with this young talent? Where do you find them? And the vocational program at Roseville High School Auto Shop has really helped us form the team that we need currently.
Started off here as a maintenance person, doing trash, light bulbs, and kind of just helping out around the building. And ended up down in the new car department, and now to where I am, where I always wanted to be, as a service technician. So now I get to use what I learned in high school, working on the cars from the Trigembos, and actually put it into a real life, everyday job in the field, you know, doing what you're actually supposed to be doing, not just a donated car that you need to learn on, but an actual customer's car that they need to hop in this weekend and go 4 hours north. So it's a little bit of a change, but same basic principle, just a little more important now.
The success part of it, it's measured in what you see as being, you know, success. Every person sees it differently. We had a kid go through here that probably would not have been anybody's first choice at anything, just because school just didn't fit him. I mean, it wasn't his thing. He stuck with the auto part of it and was successful with that. Ultimately went into the Air Force. He became the pilot for Air Force One. He flew the president around. So, I mean, there's an example that would be probably pretty prominent. On the other hand, there's a large number of them that go through here that are similar. The school really isn't their thing. They're just sort of here. The auto part of it, they relate to and they attach to, and it keeps them coming back day in and day out so that they stick with it.
When I first came to the auto shop, I didn't know anything about cars really. Like I didn't even know how to check my oil or anything like that. Now, you know, I've rebuilt engines and put them back together and stuff, and you know, I can do that.
For the 7 or 8 years that I've been coming to this program here at Roseville, I can't tell you the number of students who've said to me, if I didn't have auto shop, I probably wouldn't be in high school. It's what holds their interest.
Basically, it just pointed me in the right direction, gave me the right attitude, you know, kept me focused and found something that I really loved to do. And it just gave me the basic fundamentals to go out, get a job, and be successful.
Well, if it wasn't for the program, I would have graduated high school, period. And I wouldn't have a job here, and I wouldn't have my first job. If it wasn't for the auto shop, I probably wouldn't be where I was today. To be 100% honest with you.
Drive One basically is a vision that we put together off of another program from the church. And when we went out on the road with the Ford back in 09, 010, it became obvious everywhere we went, because we were crossing the whole Midwest. All of these parents were coming up, why don't we have a program like this? Why can't our school do something like this? Why can't something happen? And so what we did with it is I came back and said, hey, you know what? Let's try and put something together that it doesn't matter what school you're from, what your home high school is. If you don't have the opportunity to be exposed to anything like this, from a night standpoint, they can come down here and participate in our Drive One program, which is a branch of a larger one, and get the opportunity to be a part of all the things that our kids are a part of.
We meet once a week, Thursday nights at the high school for 3 hours. And the kids are just coming out of these programs with skills that I never dreamed of as a high school student. We teach auto design. The head instructor from CCS, Brian Baker, teaches that class. We teach clay modeling. We have 2 modelers here from General Motors who brought their entire setup and actually teach clay modeling. And then we have metal fabrication they teach. And then we have auto repair. And between these skill sets, they're all learning components on how the world looks at and builds a car. And we have a paint booth that's fully operational. We can paint a car at very high quality. We took a car out to California in January. We got tremendous praise for our paint work. And we said, these students painted it, not some professional shop.
Our goal is to be able to take our kids through the program of Drive and go from conception through actual designing it on a piece of paper, rendering it on a piece of paper, turning it into a 3-dimensional clay, fabricating the actual piece and creating a complete product when it's done, and being able to say, yeah, we took this from a kid at one end to a different kid at the other end, and we didn't have to go anywhere. It was all done in-house. And that is one of the goals that we've worked on with Drive. But we've also been able to incorporate wood program. We've been able, obviously, the design part of it and our machining part of it, we've been able to work with as well. So that's added another dimension to what we do in a day school programs here. It's given us a little bit more time to work on stuff, but it's also really broadened what we're looking at. I hope that we're able to keep it going. You know, I mean, it's one of those things that with all of this CT stuff, it's real life stuff that they can take and use and walk away with. You know, like I tell the kids when they walk in on day one, you know, you may take years to find a house that's yours or a home that's yours. You may be in an apartment, you may be renting, you may be whatever. But the odds are by the time you walk out the door of high school, you're going to have a car. And so if you don't know anything about it, they're probably going to take you to the cleaners every time you need something. So anything you can gain from it is to your advantage. But on all of the other stuff, it's exactly the same. Anything that they can take away from that is something that they can use for the rest of their life, whether it's what they're employed in or it's just something that they come onto on an occasion when they need it, you know, turn the screw to make the light switch work, fix the door on the bathroom, whatever it is. All of these things that we have in these CT programs work towards that. And I guess the biggest thing that if I had anything to say on any of it would be the idea that, you know, I think we've lost touch with that a little bit in that we've gone so far with the requirements and the MMEs and ACTs. Not every single kid is meant to be a doctor, a lawyer, you know, an accountant. Lots of people are designed to be able to do things. And so we need to keep this stuff going because that part of the population is still able to make money and survive and have a good life and not be directly tied to a test score.
The program is fantastic. The personalities of our two instructors are sometimes larger than life, and the kids are part of that.
You know, they command respect. You come in on any given day and you can hear either one of them have a very booming voice. But as soon as that voice is heard, there's respect. Okay, we better get to work. They don't tolerate any monkey shine, and the kids respect them for that.
Both excellent guys. They know what they're talking about. You know, they find ways to get things done.
I just can't believe what they do. It's a big responsibility what they do, and they take good care of it. I will say that much about them. They're always there for the kids. It's all about the kids, always.
I have a strong passion for what they do and what they believe in, and they're not just teaching, they're changing lives. And to me, you can't buy that anywhere.